Should we start?
Yay. Okay. Hi. Welcome to the first episode of Siilt Radio. We have Niles Parker.
Camille Parker.
Hi, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This platform we made this platform just so we could discuss the process of creativity and interviewing our friends. So it's going to be like casual get-togethers where we just invite people over and just talk. So today I have questions for you, and he has questions for me, of course. The first question I just wrote down for you, actually. Do you look at your old work that you've created and just like push to the side?
Yeah, I kind of do look at my old work.
Mm-hmm.
When I do look at my old work, it depends on what type of work it is, whether that's like photography, architecture,
Yeah.
or any other type of medium that I might do.
Mm-hmm.
But generally, when I look at my old work, I'm usually like, why did I do this? So like, especially stuff from 2 to 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, like my work really kind of involves my personality a lot.
Yeah.
And I find that I change very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at my old stuff, it's just like, wow, I can't believe like I would think that this was cool. You know?
Yeah. Me too. I feel like that as well.
Mm-hmm.
But it definitely like helps to like look back for reference.
Mm-hmm.
And any idea that you create isn't gonna be amazing, but it's not a bad idea. It's just my whole theme of this year is like revamping ideas.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So just making them prettier. I tend to like leave stuff in the like I work on something and I just like quickly forget about it because I'm so quick to go to the next idea.
Mm-hmm.
So now I tend to like look back at my stuff and say, okay, cool, this is what I was doing a couple months ago, a year ago, and how could I alter that in order to apply it to me currently? Right. So yeah. Okay. So you jot down, you look back at your work.
I look back at the work, and I think when it comes to like a finished product, like a finished polished idea, that's the stuff where I'm just like, ugh. But like maybe like a sketch or like something I jotted down that isn't complete, I'll be more likely to look back at it and be like, I feel like there was something there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you feel as though your friends, who you would say they look at their work, like your architect, Niles is an architect, basically. He graduated this year. Congratulations.
I got my paper.
When you're working with your friends, your classmates, do you feel as though, like, what do you think sparks their creativity as far as like architecture wise? Like,
well, I mean,
when you're working on a project,
working on a project, we're given a set of criteria, and the first thing they make us do is they make us like abstractly explore things. So even if it's like coming up with a list of words or a list of, or like they'll make us make models that have no real like spatial, no real like, oh, this is what the building's gonna look like. But like ideas like, I want something that's wrapping around and doing something. You know what I mean? Something like that. Yeah. So just very broad ideas that can be taken very like largely or very small. Like, oh, I designed like a room to be like this, or I like designed the entire building to be like this because of what I thought about in the beginning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So another question for you that I jotted down. We're both going to answer this. How would you describe my process of creating?
Yeah. Okay. When I look and see the way that you process things, like especially when you have like an idea that you're really like passionate about, like it usually starts off with something written down, and then I remember I used to keep like a notebook, like a sketchbook, and like before you did a painting, you would just take like different types of paint and just kind of like swatch them onto a page and just look at it. And then you would do like a quick little like, this is what I think it might come out as on the sheet, and then go for the big thing. So.
I've been writing a lot of stuff down. I thought I wrote down how you create. Maybe I was just thinking about it. Oh yeah, this right here. Okay, so basically, how you create. It's funny. I think that you're like a. It's gonna be silly, like a genie. Like you tend to like listen to people's like wishes.
Yeah.
You know. So like you wrote like, especially when it comes to you as an architect, like when people are coming to you for a concept, anything really, like you wave your magic wand around. Your magic wand is your pen, and you always start to jot down things. Like you're not writing, you start to draw. And so you like look around at the space, your environment that you're in, and then you literally make everyone's wish, like everything that they wanted you to do, you do it perfectly. Like the process of how you create, you're very patient. And that's something that I admire of you. I think that, yeah, so when you wave your magic stick around, it's just like you instantly get what your client wants. You know, like you communicate well through what you create. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah, it's awesome seeing you work. Yeah.
And I like something that you do. You have a vision, you know, and you like figure out how to like make the things around you manipulate to get to that, you know, that thing that you're doing. So I feel like it's like kind of like a yin and yang.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
It's like I take you give me what you want, and I'll figure it out, and then you know what you want, and then you take it, you mold it to what you want it to do.
Mix shift is how I would describe how I because you know I'm visual. I have to touch and see things, but you can already process and like think of what they're gonna, you know, look like. It's amazing. But like I have to I'm very in the moment, very spontaneous. So whenever I'm working, I feel as though I'm very like rampant, like fast paced. But yeah, it's like definitely the yin and yang thing. That's awesome. Another question I have: we're talking about music now. So do you put albums on shuffle? Like today, for example, this morning I was playing Frank Ocean's album Blonde, and I was like, let me just
hit shuffle.
Yeah,
hit it on shuffle.
Yeah.
Sometimes it depends on. I think it depends on the what I'm doing. Generally, I'll leave it on regular and let it just go through because I prefer to listen to bodies of work. But depending on like the mood, if I want to shake up the way like I'm doing something, I'll shuffle it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So like if I'm on a train and I'm going somewhere, I want to put it in order. It helps me keep track of time. But like if I'm designing something, I'll generally like put it on shuffle so that something unexpected happens next.
Nice.
You know, because it's like when you listen to like an album, like you'll start to know what song's gonna happen next. Yeah. But then when somebody takes that away from you, it makes it a little more interesting. Like
catch you
off guard. I think that's even when you go to parties and stuff, like even though you know all the songs that are at the party, like generally you'll know most of the songs, but like you don't know the order that they're going to come in. And I think like the surprise, like, oh, that song came next.
Yeah.
Like really adds to like knowing, you know, like the fun of what happens next.
So basically, guys, Niles and I, we are curators. So we host events, curate events, and we have done 2 events in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
So the first event was called Icy Colors, where we basically got about 8 artists, us including, and we displayed their work in this room on walls, different mediums of art. And we had installation pieces that Niles came up with, like clouds. And so we made like cloud lamps, and Niles came up with like what materials we're going to use, like the structure of all of them. And then we put like teddy bear cotton on the clouds, and we put LED lights that are sound sensitive into the clouds, and we hung them up on the ceiling. And we called that event called Icy Colors. And then the second event was where we did our Hue Lounge, and basically that was my idea of turning a space into an interactive boiler room. I love parties, and that's the next question I got for you. I want to know what events are you are you interested in, and in the future, what are you planning to try to do?
Well, I definitely like since we've been doing this, it's really started to mold the way I think about spaces, and like even now, like what I want to do professionally as an architect, like involves making spaces that are more interactive for people.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I feel like the big, like 500 person, like rave or whatever club thing. I don't really care for that. I would prefer something that's a little smaller, like 100 people, 200 people, the max.
Yeah.
And like something well thought out is happening in those spaces. Like what I liked about the Hue Lounge was like the way we set it up and made people kind of move into the space and had them interact with certain things while still being able to interact with their friends and not get distracted by all the stuff around. It was a good balance between those kind of things. And I don't know, I've been going like we do the kickbacks in Olu's apartment. I feel like those are more my speed. I don't really care for. I don't know. That just kind of sounds conceited. I don't really care for other people's parties that much.
Okay.
So like, I prefer to host my own.
Yeah.
Than to go to someone else's party, unless I like help them put it together.
So, basically, Niles and his friends, like they have on campus at his school, at his old school, they have a apartment, and there's 3 rooms, and what they do is you guys have like these kickbacks, like parties. They invite their close friends, and there's no DJ. Like anyone can be the DJ. So there's just the aux, and people plug in their music, and we, Niles and I, we brought the LED lights that moves the sound of music, and we just place them all throughout the apartment. And of course, we have drinks. Pinata. There's always a pinata.
Something unique. Always something.
Something unique.
Yeah.
I think, I like the idea of having that intimacy with people, one-on-ones. I love talking to people. I used to think that parties meant that a whole bunch of people should show up and just like that. I'd never seen that movie, that Project X movie, that crazy ass parties. And no, I like small gatherings, and so I really started to appreciate the parties that you guys threw, because it doesn't take much. It just all it takes is good people, drinks, and great music. So even like with concerts now, I'm very picky on what venue I go to.
I guess I'll never really see super big people, because I don't want to be in a place where like I'm in the nosebleeds and I paid like double the price ticket of a usual ticket that I usually go to. Like mostly, like I think the most I've ever spent on a single concert ticket was like $40.
$40?
Yeah.
Do you remember who it was?
I think it was Brockhampton. After the fees, is about $40.
You did see them.
That was an interesting one. The Fillmore. It was good. Like I really liked the performance.
Yeah. So definitely small gatherings, events are the move. Yeah.
I don't know. They So speaking of them, like the Brockhampton, I don't know. Like how do you like? I feel like the dynamic of the way people are becoming famous is changing. Like usually it's like a singular artist who has like his crew who works behind the stage and like helps them out. Like maybe he has a producer, a manager, and some friends that like are always like there mentally, or like friend wise. But now people are like legitimately growing into a group, and it's not like how like I think like the OF groups, how like they'll have like a star name, like 2 or 3 star names, and then there's other people in there that don't make it in the end. Like I'm seeing more people kind of this working. They work more cohesively. And
Yeah.
there's not really a name. There's not really that big name in the group.
I feel like it's a good thing because you definitely see, like, for example, Brockhampton, you brought up, like, that brotherhood.
Yeah.
It and of course, like, all the other groups before, like, had that bond, but like showing people that you cannot do it alone, and that their faces to the people who are behind the scenes or who are in a group, like, we should all work together. It's like that camaraderie that you see, and I think it's awesome. Fame is different now, like you were saying this morning. Like, anyone, as far as like music or any, like, because of social media, like, putting your work out there, you could easily upload it. And I always tell my friends, like, someone in this world is going to love what you do. There's one person that's going to love what you do. And so I definitely support these groups coming out because they're just more faces to the work, and I like working with teams. I do. It helps bring up character, and it helps you understand that it's not about you necessarily. Like, you're listening to other people's ideas, so you're sharing ideas with one another, So I think that's great. Shout out to Brockhampton. Do I have another question for you? Oh, did you, like, growing up, right, did you see me be the person I am today? Did you see that I was going to be into the arts? Sorry, before you. I'm a photographer, event curator. I always forget the things I like to do. I dabble in a lot. There's
definitely a family of dabble.
Yes.
Definitely.
Just creative, like, artists. I'll just put artists right there, painting. So go ahead.
I don't know. I think you've definitely gone. I think me and Lauren were talking about it the other day in the car. I think you've definitely went through the biggest evolution out of the three of us. Like,
Lauren's our little sister.
Like, I don't know. When I pictured this, like, I don't know when you were in when we were in high school, there were like little glimpses, I guess. But like, you were, whenever like I would see you do like a thing that made you Camille, like you were playing sports, and you were doing the makeup and stuff. You're really into cosmology and all that stuff, and I was just cosmetology.
Okay.
And I don't know. I think I didn't really see that until you got to like senior year of college-ish, like that freshman year. And it's like, who would have thought like Bowie State would have figured that out for you?
Bowie State.
Because it's like, I don't know. It's like, you go there and you're bored, and you basically had to figure out, what am I going to do since I'm bored?
Yeah.
And like, I think that helped a lot.
Yeah, definitely. I have always imagined you being some sort of like, I don't know what's the right word. Like, I always saw you. Let's just start off with, like, I always saw you doing puzzles as a kid, and how you love like sitting down and just finding all these pieces to go, to place, and then like having this finished product, and it took you forever, like building something from scratch. Like, you've always liked to I called you handy dandy, and like Handy Mandy, is that the show? Handy Mandy, always trying to like help Dad with like putting stuff together. So I envision you building stuff. So like, I didn't know at the time what an architect was. I mean, like, growing up, but like when you brought up, oh, I want to be an architect, I was like, what is that? And then you were like, oh, I'm gonna be making buildings and whatnot. And I was like, okay. I was really confused because I don't think a lot of people really understand
what
it.
they do,
So I was a little bit skeptical, like,
Mm-hmm.
what in the world is he talking about? Like, building? Like, is he gonna be like on those like
Mm-hmm.
tall
The cranes and stuff.
cranes?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, what if he falls? Like, no, but there's like different behind the scenes work that goes into creating anything.
Yeah.
And so you were like, no, I just sit down. Well, not like, you know,
Yeah.
but like I sit down on the computer, go on InDesign. I don't know the different
Yeah.
software and design floor plans. I was like, floor plans? And then, you know, we just started, you know, working together and then doing these like events, and, you know, working with you has definitely broadened like my imagination, and being aware of your surroundings is key. And that's what you've taught me. And learning to be patient, because I don't have any, but I'm working on it. But it's been a ride working with you. I think we should cut it from there.
Yeah.
That was awesome.